All right, guys, so welcome back to the Crazy Juicy Love podcast. I have this awesome man here, your gay life coach, Brian Falduto. Very Italian. Thank you so much for being on the show. I'm so happy to have you here doing this crazy time.
Yeah, of course. Happy to be connecting with people, even from afar.
Yeah. So, just real quick, I'm just curious, how did you even become a coach? How did you specifically wanted to target, the gay community? Like, how did you even know, I'm just very curious of people's journey of becoming a coach. So I'm just very curious.
Yeah, so my journey to coaching really just had to do with, I don't know how much you know about my history, but I started out as a child actor, actually.
Yeah,
and I was in School of Rock when I was younger, and I played this, seemingly gay role, but I was a child, so whether or not the role was actually gay is still up for discussion, I think. But it was just a very LGBTQ referencing item in the media at the time, and it was 2003, so that wasn't really happening. And I quickly became known as the gay kid from School of Rock, and that got associated with a lot of trauma growing up, because to be pegged like that at such a young age as something that you don't really understand and don't really want to be associated with because it's not cool, fills your heads with a bunch of I'm not doing good enough, I'm not I'm wrong, there's a lot of things I need to change about myself in order to be accepted. And so I grew up with a lot of those mentalities, and I eventually, luckily, got to a point in my life where I started to question those things. And I feel very grateful for that day that I started doing that. And then I became just really curious about how does one go about reversing those things, because I didn't want to live my life in this defeated place. I wanted to feel empowered and do things that that meant more to me and whatnot. So yeah, I became really obsessed with figuring out what that process is. And so that's what led me to coaching, because I wanted to not only figure that process out for myself, but help other people do that too. Because I think in the gay community specifically, there's a lot of people who just don't know their worth, because of the way they grew up. And I feel like it ties into coaching well, because coaching is all about goals, and it's hard to achieve your goals if you don't know what you're worth.
Right. And also you don't know what's stopping you to get those goals too, because we have all these patterns and beliefs, especially in the gay community, that I see a lot of that's really ravaging that us all over. I'm in these two entrepreneur programs. One's called B School with Maria Folio, and this other one. So anyway, we have to do all this research in our ideal client. And so one of the suggestions is to go into these different Facebook groups and do research. You just gotta watch and observe, people's behavior and what are they asking. And then so happened today, there's a guy in this LGBTQ singles group, and he posted a picture of himself. He's a bigger guy, and posted he was wearing green tights and makeup and all this other stuff, and the comments that were pouring in of just shaming him for who he is. And I was just wow, this is a lot of shame that really keeps a lot of gay men single, or just us in this perpetual place of shaming each other. So I'm curious if how did you start to unravel all these little things about yourself to get to a place? Because it's really valuable to hear other gay men, because I don't know a lot of gay men that have done these things. I'm just really curious for yourself of what are some of the things that you were fighting against that you had to shift for yourself?
I mean, there's a lot there. I think that once we kind of get to this point where we are questioning these narratives we've always grown up with that tell us that we're wrong and that we need to change, and the things that lead to, the definition of shame, I think that it becomes a healing process, and healing takes a long time sometimes. And I think that it's never done. I'm not sitting here saying I have to figure it out. I don't have to figure it out.
It's a process.
And I'm still unraveling things every day. as far as the things that I'm unraveling, a lot of them have to do with like how much can I really let go of the things that I thought were true, and how much can I really accept about the things that still come up for me. I feel like those are the questions I've been asking myself a lot lately. Like, what can I let go of? And at the same time, what can I accept? And it's like it's like a fine balance, right? Because we can't let go of things without accepting that they're there, I feel like. And we also can't like accept, we can't develop a good relationship with them if there's stuff in the way. It's a very complicated process.
Right, it is.
But I think what I found in my journey of healing is that there's actually a ton of resources out there. And I think once you have that moment where you're like, oh, maybe life isn't always what I thought it was, you do tend to actually get flooded with these resources. And that's what happened to me. There's books, there's life coaches, there's therapists, there's mindfulness practices. There are a bunch of ways that people can kind of tap into a better relationship with themselves. And so my goal as a coach is to help people figure out what that looks like for them, because I don't think everyone's answer is the same. Like, your answer might be therapy and mine might be meditation. You know, like everyone's answer, I think, is different. You got to find out what works for you. And yeah, I think I answered your question. I don't know. I also find that a lot of the answers come from going inside more often and getting quiet more often. So often we're searching for the answers outside of ourselves, which is I think where a lot of the toxicity in dating comes from, because we're always seeking validation or hoping someone can fulfill these needs, but really we're the only people who can do that. So I think the more time you can take with yourself, the better.
Yeah, and like I'm curious of like, what are some of the things that you identified and that you had to let go of, that some other gay man can identify with, like hearing your story?
Yeah. So a lot of just that I'm not good enough. This need to prove myself, especially not only being targeted as gay when I was young, but also like being in a major motion picture when I was young. There's like this level of success I've always been compared to. And I think success is a really subjective word. I think it really has to do with how happy you are every day. And I'm actually more happy every day now than when I was trying to meet this level that everyone was setting for me. So, or that I was really just setting for myself, thinking that other people were setting for me. Really, no one actually cares. But like, because everyone just kind of like is thinking about themselves. And yeah, I mean, I still struggle with a lot of things, but I think underneath it all is there's this like reassurance that I have the power to not fall to these things, like if I were to like do the work on them. For example, like very recently I was talking to a guy and he wasn't texting me back, and of course my mind got filled with all those things like, oh, I've done something wrong, what have I done to make this happen, when really I've done nothing. It has nothing to do with me. And if I dive into some sort of mindfulness practice about it, I can correct it, or I can stick in that uncomfortable narrative that he does have a problem with me, because sometimes it's easier to stay in that uncomfortable place, you know?
Right.
We don't always want to dive into the growing. But I chose to like dive into the growing and get out of it and realize my worth in that situation and know that there are options for me. And yeah, sorry, I got a little rambly there, but I get excited about this stuff.
No, it's okay. I mean, I hear you. Like, I know some of the things I remember struggling with when first coming out of like, do I even deserve? Because I had a belief that, you know, as a gay man, that I didn't deserve to be in like a committed relationship. It's, oh, you know, we're gay men, that's just the way we are. That's just what I thought. You know what I mean? And then until I met my second boyfriend, and I was just like, oh no, that's not the truth. It's like the whole, like, where did that even come from? Why do I even believe that? And because I hear that a lot, like, you know, I especially remember an incident where when the whole Dolce & Gabbana thing was going on, and like, oh, gay men aren't meant to have kids, or gay men aren't meant to be this. And I was like, oh, that's not really true. That's what you believe. That's not like what I have to conform to. And it's like what you're saying, going back to what you're saying, like looking within, like, oh, is that true for me? Do I believe that? Is that what's going to make me happy? Or am I agreeing to what somebody else or what society or what other people around me have conform to say this is what gay men do or act and behave. So I really like you hitting on like really looking within. But I do find, as a coach too, I find that a lot of gay men, or even friends that I come in contact with, have struggle with looking within. So I'm curious of like your experience of like, why do gay men have struggle with looking within?
Because they never did. We never did for a really long time. Everything inside was wrong, right? So we just we kept looking for the answers. Most of our go-to thoughts and patterns were in question from the get-go. So I don't think that we trust those anymore. So we reach outside of ourselves. And I love what you were saying, and it did remind me again of my two questions, like how much can I let go, how much can I accept? Like once you start to like love parts of yourself, how much can you really love yourself? Like, you know, I started to love myself, and then I was like, you know, for example, there's like a stigma in the gay community that like it's not like not everyone's into hairy guys, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's true or not, but like that's the rumor, right? Yeah. And so of course I'm Italian, and I got really self-conscious about my hair growing up, and I was like, oh, I've got to like go for laser hair removal and make sure that I'm fitting the standard of beauty that's been told to me, blah 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 blah. And then I'm like, how much can I let go of another stigma, and how much can I accept the fact that I'm just hairy? And then you know, once I actually settle into those things, people accept what you accept. I find that I'm actually attracting more people just by owning what is natural to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just like an example of like, I mean, you were mentioning all these like societal perceptions, and I think that's like how much can we let go of those, and how much can we actually accept what's coming up for us?
Yeah, and it's really going back to what you just said, like really accepting like, okay, well, this is just the way I am. Like, this is my body, this is my hairy body, my hairy chest. Because I used to be that person too. I used to like shave under my arms to save, to make sure that everything is like nice and neat, and like, you know, I'm just like, as long as I'm clean, you know.
Right. And it turns out a lot of people are into hairy guys.
Right.
The rumor isn't true. It's literally just a rumor that someone made. And who says it's true? And it might not even be, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So what are some of the patterns that you notice that gay men struggle with?
Oh God, there's so many. There's a lot of, no, I mean, we're great. We're
right. But it's good to talk about, because when I say patterns, like, I remember talking to a friend of mine, and I said, you know, I was listening to his dating history, and I said, you know, you have a pattern. He's like, oh, I don't have a pattern. And I was like, well, you literally date the same type of men in every single relationship, and you're unwilling to look at that.
I think a common one is self-sabotage. It's this, we were told, again, growing up, that we weren't correct. And so I think that we tend to crave situations that reinforce that narrative, because it's all we've ever known. So it's,
right.
We want to be in some sort of relationship that's a challenge to who we are, because everything we've ever known has been a challenge to who we are. We want to go after the uncomfortable, because the uncomfortable is home, you know. And accepting happiness is like a weird challenge for a lot of people. I get it. It's like, do I actually deserve to be happy? And what would that look like? Because it's such a strange, foreign idea to me. I can't even imagine it, you know?
Right.
So, like, that's the narrative that I feel like that's like the underlying thing that's motivating a lot of this behavior.
Right. And it's so interesting, like, to even ask that question, do I deserve to be happy? Like, it's like, some people are like, well, that's a really silly question, but when you really ask yourself that question, for me, it brings up all these things of like, oh, like, if I let go of these certain things, I can really, going back to what you said, like, I can really be happy where I am, for who I am, no matter what I look like. And I don't have to depend on outside sources to validate me, and to rely on for my happiness, that I can generate, I can create my own happiness. And like what you're saying too, once that self-acceptance happened, that full acceptance, then you start to like attract the person or the people that are attracted to you because they find that sexy, because that really exudes from you, because it's like, well, I'm me and I love me, so I don't need your validation to be who I am. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
So